Welcome to our channel. Today we're diving into the psychology of manipulation. Now before we get started, let me tell you something. Manipulation is a powerful tool. It can be used for good or bad. It all depends on the person holding the reins. Remember, these techniques should be used ethically and responsibly. We're talking about understanding the chessboard of human interaction, not playing dirty tricks. This isn't about taking advantage of folks. It's about getting what you want in life while understanding the needs and motivations of others. Let's be clear, manipulation is about influencing someone's thoughts, feelings, or actions. Now, there's a right way and a wrong way to do this. The wrong way is all about deceit and coercion. That's a hard no. The right way, it's about persuasion, understanding, and finding common ground. It's about framing your needs in a way that resonates with the other person. Remember, folks, every relationship, every interaction has an element of influence. It's how we navigate the world. The key is to do it with integrity. You want to be a good influencer? You got to be a good observer. Pay attention to how people tick. What makes them happy? What makes them mad? What are their insecurities? What are their dreams? Everybody has a story, and those stories shape their behavior. Once you understand someone's story, you can start to understand their motivations. And once you understand their motivations, you can start to communicate with them in a way that resonates. It's about empathy, folks. Putting yourself in their shoes. Ever notice how you tend to gravitate towards people who are like you? We're naturally drawn to familiarity. That's where mirroring comes in. Mirroring is about subtly reflecting the other person's behavior, their body language, their tone of voice, even their words. Now, I'm not talking about mimicking them like a parrot. It's about finding subtle ways to create a sense of connection. When you mirror someone, you're sending a subconscious message that you're on the same wavelength. It builds rapport and trust. Listen, everybody likes to feel good. A genuine compliment can go a long way. But here's the catch. It's got to be genuine. People can spot a phony a mile away. Focus on finding something you genuinely admire about the person. And then tell them. It could be their work ethic, their sense of humor, their taste in music, anything. A well-placed compliment can make someone feel valued and appreciated, and that can make them more receptive to your ideas. Now, this one's a bit tricky. Guilt trips can be a double-edged sword. Guilt trips can be effective, but you've got to use them sparingly. They can be a powerful tool in the right context, but they can also cause unintended harm if not handled with care. The goal here isn't to make someone feel bad. It's to appeal to their sense of responsibility or obligation. It's about striking a balance between expressing your needs and respecting their feelings. For example, you might say something like, "I know you're busy, but it would mean a lot to me if you could help me with this." This approach acknowledges their situation while gently reminding them of your request. You're not directly accusing them of anything, but you're subtly reminding them of their commitment to you. It's a way to communicate your needs without coming off as demanding or overbearing. But remember, folks, too much guilt tripping can backfire. Overusing this tactic can lead to negative consequences. It can make people feel resentful and manipulated. When people feel like they're being controlled or coerced, it can damage the relationship and erode trust. So how do you know when to use a guilt trip? It's all about context and timing. Consider the person's current state of mind and the nature of your relationship. Reflect on whether your request is reasonable and if the person has the capacity to fulfill it. Sometimes a simple, honest conversation can be more effective than a guilt trip. Open communication fosters understanding and cooperation. It allows both parties to express their feelings and find a mutually agreeable solution. In the end, the key is to use guilt trips judiciously and with empathy. Always consider the other person's perspective and strive for a balance that maintains the integrity of your relationship. Remember, the goal is to build connections, not to create rifts. Use guilt trips as a last resort, and always prioritize open, honest communication. Tread lightly, and you'll find that people are more willing to help when they feel respected and understood. Thanks for watching, and remember to use guilt trips wisely. Ever notice how you tend to want something more when you think it's about to disappear? That's the scarcity principle at work. People place a higher value on things that are scarce or in limited supply. You can use this principle to your advantage by creating a sense of urgency or exclusivity. For example, you might say something like, "This offer is only available for a limited time," or "This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity." By creating a sense of scarcity, you're increasing the perceived value of what you're offering. This technique is all about getting someone to agree to a small request first, which makes them more likely to agree to a larger request later. It's about building momentum. The idea is to start with something so small and simple that it's almost impossible to say no. People are more likely to say yes to a request if they've already said yes to a smaller one. This is because saying yes to the initial request creates a sense of commitment and consistency. For example, you might ask someone to donate a small amount of money to your charity. This small act of giving can make them feel more connected to your cause. If they agree, you can then ask them to volunteer their time. Volunteering can deepen their sense of involvement and commitment, or donate a larger amount later on. Once they have invested their time or a small amount of money, they are more likely to agree to a bigger contribution. The key is to make the initial request small and reasonable. This lowers the barrier to entry and makes it easy for the person to say yes. Once they have said yes, they are more likely to continue saying yes to maintain their self-image as a helpful and cooperative person. This technique leverages the psychological principle of consistency. People like to be consistent in their actions and decisions. By starting small, you build trust and confidence, making it easier to ask for more significant commitments over time. The foot in the door technique is a powerful tool in persuasion and can be used in various aspects of life, from sales to personal relationships. Remember, start small, think big, and watch as small agreements lead to significant outcomes. This one's the opposite of the foot in the door technique. While the foot in the door technique involves starting with a small request to gain eventual compliance with a larger one, the door in the face technique flips this strategy on its head. You start with a large, unreasonable request that you know will be rejected. This initial request is intentionally exaggerated to set the stage for your real goal. Then you follow up with a smaller, more reasonable request, which is what you actually wanted all along. This smaller request seems much more manageable in comparison to the first, making it more likely to be accepted. The idea is that the person will feel bad about rejecting your first request, so they'll be more likely to agree to your second request. This technique leverages the psychological principle of reciprocity, where people feel compelled to return a favor or make amends for a previous refusal. For example, you might ask your boss for a $10,000 raise, knowing they'll say no. This initial request is so high that it sets a benchmark in their mind. Then you can follow up by asking for a $5,000 raise, which is more reasonable. This second request seems much more modest and fair in comparison, increasing the likelihood that your boss will agree to it. The door in the face technique can be applied in various scenarios, from business negotiations to everyday interactions. It's a powerful tool for getting what you want by making your actual request seem more reasonable. To effectively use this technique, it's important to carefully plan your initial request and ensure that it is significantly larger than your actual goal. This way, the contrast between the two requests will be more pronounced. Remember, the key to success with the door in the face technique is to make the first request so large that it is almost certain to be rejected, but not so outrageous that it seems insincere or manipulative. With practice, you can master the art of the counter-offer and use the door-in-the-face technique to achieve your goals more effectively. It's all about understanding human psychology and using it to your advantage. So next time you need to make a request, consider starting with a larger one first. You might be surprised at how effective the door-in-the-face technique can be in helping you get what you want. People are social creatures. We look to others for cues on how to behave, especially in unfamiliar situations. That's where social proof comes in. We're more likely to do something if we see other people doing it. You can use social proof to your advantage by highlighting the popularity of your product or service. For example, you might say something like, over 1 million people have already switched to our brand. You're not directly telling people to switch, but you're subtly implying that it's the popular thing to do. Timing is crucial when it comes to manipulation. You need to know when to strike. If you try to manipulate someone when they're in a bad mood, you're more likely to be met with resistance. But if you catch them when they're happy and relaxed, they'll be more receptive to your suggestions. Pay attention to people's moods and body language. Look for signs that they're open to persuasion. And remember, sometimes the best time to strike is when the iron is cold. Don't be afraid to wait for the right moment. Thanks for watching. Remember, manipulation can be a powerful tool, but always use it ethically. It's about understanding and connecting with people, not taking advantage of them. If you use these techniques responsibly, you can achieve great things, but if you use them for selfish or unethical purposes, you'll only end up hurting yourself in the long run. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more insightful content.